Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, e buonasera, Lazio world. Welcome to your instant reaction pod. I'm your host, Sean McIntosh, joined by my good friend, Stevie. This is a special one. We're here to talk about Lazio's 4-0 victory over Verona. But we've got Stevie live on location at Lazio Club NYC. Stevie, my friend, how are you and how are the vibes in New York?
Yeah. So New York is my home, but I live far away now. And when I left, this didn't exist. There is a Roman restaurant called Via della Pace, named after the famous street near Piazza Navona in Rome, and it's where Lazio Club NYC meets. The restaurant normally is only open in the evenings, but they open 30 minutes before every Lazio match. So whether they're playing at half six or 2:45 like today.
It's amazing. And what was the atmosphere like? Like, tell me. I've known about Lazio Club NYC. I've wanted to come out there to check out a match at some point. I promise I'm going to do it. But what was it like? How many people? How many Laziali are out there supporting and watching these matches?
Yeah, we probably had maybe 25, no, I'd say maybe 35 to 40 people. We had a lot of people that were here on vacation from Rome. And you could tell that because they packed their own sandwiches like a Roman would. But no, it was brilliant. Again, is my first time to be at this establishment for a match, and super. The owner of the establishment has the megaphone and leads all the chants. And after every match, it was the you know what Lotito. So, and I learned the Dele Bashiru chant, which I didn't know before.
Okay. Was it a positive Dele Bashiru chant?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Very nice,
Nice.
very nice, very
Nice.
nice.
Good.
And there are a lot of people in New York City this weekend because the band Oasis is playing at the football stadium. So we did a lot of Lazio Oasis partnership songs, which was great.
Awesome. And we know there's a connection there with Lazio and Oasis. So very cool. Love seeing it. For those joining us live on YouTube, behind Stevie, you can see a bunch of the Laziali rolling out. Beautiful kits, best kits in the game. History of incredible shirts. So love seeing all of them live right now in New York. Well, we're here to talk about this massive victory, 4-0. It's match week 2, a big bounce back performance. We'll start at the starting 11. After a performance like last week, I thought there would be potentially a few more changes, but really the only one that we see is Marusic in place of Lazzari. No changes in the attack. He's rowing with Cancellieri again. You see Rovella, of course, back in that starting role. Dele Bashiru with another opportunity in that midfield. Romagnoli, of course, still out due to that red card, him serving that second match of the 2-game suspension. So, this one, Stevie, really got off to a bang 3 minutes in, and it's a fantastic goal. It's what makes this goal really good is that it was a sign of what we would see for this entire match, not just an individual performance, but really a team display. Rovella immediately making his impact, a beautiful pass over top of the defense. Tati with a fantastic touch to lay it off to Gendouzi, who gets it right, places it far post, clean, sharp. And then we see another, just 10 minutes in, you see Zaccagni finishing, looking like prime Zaccagni, doing what he does best. But this one really highlighted by the assist of the season. I mean, we're 2 matches in, and hard pressed to believe we'll see a better assist all year than this. Tati, I had to see it on replay because I didn't see it live, but a Rabona to Zaccagni to play him, and Zaccagni just, again, does what he does best in finishing that. And then in the 42nd minute, a fantastic, just perfect header But Rovella, putting that on a dime, what we've seen for many, many years with Luis Alberto and just kind of the wasted opportunities from set pieces. Rovella plays this one to perfection. We go into halftime up 3-0. We're feeling really good about ourselves. And then, essentially it's just a dominant performance from there out. And then we're making a number of subs. You see Dia coming in the 78th minute. You see Belayan coming in that same substitution cycle. And 4 minutes later, 82nd minute, Dia goal from some fantastic work by Belayan. And it ends 4-0. Give me your 3 words, Stevie, to describe this one.
Oh man, I'll say for me, and it's mainly because I'm here, felt like home. So being in this restaurant during a Lazio match is like being in the curva. We have our espresso, we have a lot of water, not as much beer drinking as maybe the English fans would be used to. But yeah, no, it was really beautiful, and you know we know that the club has not done a good job of promoting themselves. I mean, that's what the understatement of the century.
Yeah, I'd say.
So the fact that independently people are doing this is remarkable, and there've actually been, protest signs against Lotito in different parts of New York City. Led by this, group of fans that, even though many of them have left Rome, they never forgot where their heart was.
No, I love to hear it, love to see it. Remarkable support. Look, one thing we can talk about, and there's no dispute about, is the support that Lazio fans have continued to give, despite the ups and downs, despite a transfer block. Over 30,000 season tickets, another fantastic atmosphere in the Curva, in Stadio Olimpico, fantastic atmosphere from the scenes that you've sent me from New York, and it's remarkable, and so deserving, the fans deserving of a performance like today. My 3 words was rare masterclass performance, and this is rare because really everything clicked on all cylinders, whether it was the defense shutting things down. And look, I'll preface this by saying I get it. It's only Verona. But how often do we fail to either like get the result against sides like Verona? And if we do get a result, it doesn't look as good as what we saw today. And given what we saw against Como, I was really nervous. I said it on the last episode with Caleb. My glimmering hope that I was holding on to was that we didn't really have Rovella last week, and we didn't have Romagnoli, and we know what a difference a player like Rovella makes. Boy, was that an understatement. But today was a rare masterclass performance, top down. Look, we had a little bit more time on the ball. It wasn't that incessant pressure that Como put. But again, we've seen this before where teams like Verona are tough to break down, and we just did a much, much better job moving through them and cutting them open. So, Stevie, a lot of really good performances in this one. Who stood the tallest as your man of the match?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it because it's your favorite player and third child, but I think we saw how Rovella can control a match. And what we saw maybe the first 2 seasons with him is he can control a match without delivering that final ball. Well, today he pretty much did everything.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's funny because our co-host and friend Caleb not able to make it today. He's traveling. He's actually in Brazil. Was not able to watch the match because it was one of the rare matches that wasn't aired through ESPN Brazil. And so he's kind of texting, asking for updates. You see, it's like first half you've got a Tati goal and 2 assists, and he was like, "Wow, man of the match sealed." And I was like, "No." I was like, it's shockingly enough, right? I mean, assist of the season, and Tati had a, dare I say, flawless performance, right? I mean, any other match, I would dub him without question as man of the match, but this one is just it has to be Rovella because you saw it was everything. And what's so kind of crazy is, we use FootMob sometimes and we check the ratings and we want to see like some of the statistics. And FootMob usually like when they calculate their player ratings, they're so heavily influenced by a goal or an assist, especially a goal. Right? You can score a goal and all of a sudden your match rating is going to be through the roof, even though you don't really have that much of an impact on the game. Rovella, without a goal, only having one assist, FootMob had as a 9.1, equal to Tati, which says everything about the type of performance he had. I mean, most passes he had 115 pass attempts, 104 of them hitting. So he had over 90% passing accuracy, and you just saw the sharpness, how much quicker we were to move the ball. And I love a Danilo Cataldi, but you saw the difference. Again, what we saw in Como versus this one, and his ability to just move the ball a little bit quicker and allowing for everybody to operate. We had a chance in the, I think it was the sixth, it was late in the match. It was just a series of 1-2 passes that didn't quite connect and get back to Rovella, but it was just a perfect display of how we were playing, just this inspired football. Was there anything that stood out to you, maybe Stevie, that really allowed us to perform this way, or was it as simple as like we got Rovella back and it's against Verona?
Yeah, I would say you mentioned in the intro that Lazio never makes it easy, but we have maybe 3 or 4 matches a season, which is why we don't qualify for the big tournaments because we're inconsistent. That we really put on a what you call the master class, and 9 times out of 10, that's Verona at home. It's just a team that I had 2 friends that came to visit me during the match. They're not Lazio supporters, but just to hang out. And I said to them that a lot of these players on Verona in a year or two maybe are going to be on Lazio because of the relationship, and Zaccagni, and then also Noslin, and then also Ghanaian, and then also I think Pellegrini did a loan spell there. So it was just seemed like I don't know. I joke the intensity wasn't there from them. Like
Yep.
watching them today versus watching Como last week was like watching a different sport. I mean, last week was embarrassing. It
Truly.
was. I was. Sometimes you watch Lazio and you're angry. I wasn't angry. I was like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, it was so bad that I put so much like internalized pressure on today's match against Verona because I had told some friends at work, and I was like, if we lose against Verona and the performance is poor, forget the loss, but if it's a poor performance, I was like, dare I say that we're in a relegation battle this season? Because the Como performance really shook me. And again, I held out hope saying, well, if we were without 2 key pieces, maybe you can argue Isaacson is a third key piece. Uh, but if we came out against this Verona side and really looked poor, then I was going to really abandon kind of any hope. And again, it's such a poor side, but we've seen this Lazio side looked incapable of any and everything last week, and so it was nice to handle our business, do so without making it difficult, and look good, and hopefully build a little bit of confidence. And you talk about players that really should be shining in confidence. We talked about Tati, we talked about Rovella. How about Profsgaard? One of the rare few bright spots last week against Como, and I thought today was just another really, really strong performance by the Dane. I mean, cutting off passes, showing his strength, showing his some ability on the ball. No, not making any mistakes. What do you make of him as a player?
I mean, I really like what I saw today. I don't want to give him his flowers the way everybody did last week. He was probably 6 out of 10 when everybody else was 4 out of 10. So it seemed like we were rushing to that. And I don't know if there is there's a journalist I can't think of his last name. His first name is Karsten, but he does a lot of Lazio
Yes, yes,
coverage,
yes. Yep.
and he's from Denmark. And I remember listening to him on the radio saying, I don't know about being so high on this player. In that league, Vavro is the best central defender. Provsgaard came from a minor team that was maybe at the bottom of the table or near the bottom of the table. So, maybe it wasn't going to be outstanding. But yeah, he seems very, very reassured. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
But it's a little nerve-wracking to think that maybe his development will be stunted because we know we're in one competition and Romagnoli comes back next week. So when do we see him again?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And but look, that would suggest that we have a season without injury, and let's hope for that. But that's very rarely the case. And whether it's suspension, injury, at least some opportunities in Coppa Italia. But you've got to at least feel, like you said, reassured that we have a capable backup in Proscard. So, anybody else stand out to you before we move to Bidone as a real positive today?
I was just really pleased to see Gaduzzi score a goal um, because if we're playing 4-3-3, which Saribor, 95%, we will play 4-3-3, we need our midfielders to chip in. And, last year that didn't happen. We all know about Rovella's situation when it comes to making a goal. I want to say Guendouzi maybe only had one or two last year. So, yeah, we're going to need that.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Look, we were very disappointed in his performance last week, and today wasn't like a overly positive Gendouzi performance, but he was fine and obviously did the important thing and ensuring that we walked out of this thing with a win, and he had a goal. So let's talk about Bidone. And this one, in these types of matches, it always feels so unfair, but we always want to dub a Bidone. I thought that there was one clear Bidone, so I'll kick it off, and you let me know if I'm being unfair or if you have anybody differently. But I had to give it to Dele Bashiru. I thought, well, largely invisible. Again, not a bad match, but Caleb and I kind of had this argument last week, and I thought Dele Bashiru was invisible last week as well, and against a inferior opponent today, where there was a lot of space to operate, he just didn't do anything. I very, very rarely. I think he might have had one attempt where he did a nice job to kind of create some space for himself. I think it was the 68th minute. It was a really nice touch, and he was kind of played the ball wide, but didn't really do too much with it. So I don't know. He was mine. I just didn't think he had an effect on the match. Not that he did anything overly negative. I think overall, like, his passing statistics were fine. I think he was like 93% in passing accuracy. But again, just didn't see him involved in any of the mix when we were attacking or generating any opportunities. What do you think?
I was very glad that he got an opportunity to start this match because some of the uh, predictions, I don't know if you read earlier in the week, thought that Belean might start this
Yep.
match. And I didn't think that was necessary against Verona. I also thought that Dele Bashido could do more. It was another match where I used the term like Como, where Dele Bashido got a lot of exercise. He runs around a lot. And Ganduzi had a match like that last week also.
Yep.
But he didn't really have much of an effect. One moment that I think of that sticks in my head, and again, I'm watching this, in the equivalent of the stadium. So I'm not as watching it as closely, but Cancellieri did miss a very nice chance
Yeah.
that I think would have done his confidence wonders.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I mean, interesting because when I think about Cancellieri, and in comparison to like a Dele Bashiru, because I agree, probably those two were the poorest performers. At least Cancellieri felt like he was in the mix, right? There was like plenty of opportunities, both defensively where he was kind of winning the ball. So I appreciated some of the fight that I saw from him. You can tell like the quality is not it's not at the level of a Zaccagni or even a Pedro. but he was in the mix and he should have finished. It was very, dare I say, Tati-esque type of a miss that that Cancellieri had, but he was at least kind of putting himself in position. I think he should have earned a free kick at the top of the box early in this match that wasn't called. So, but yeah, I think it's fair to kind of pinpoint those two as kind of our poorest performers. But for me, it goes to Delebashiru because I just didn't really see him involved in any way. So we've I guess my question for you, Stevie, is what the heck do you make of Noslin on this squad? Because you mentioned, all the former Verona players and essentially everybody got a crack at it today, is even so much as Hisai late in the match getting subbed in. You've got Noslin, we talked about Cancellieri not necessarily putting on not good performances, and in a match that's all but won, we see Noslin, who we spent a lot of money on last year, again being an unused sub. What do you make of that?
I want to say firstly, it's not my money, so I don't think about it like, oh, the money. He has to justify it. It's about the performance. But yeah, he just didn't get an opportunity again. I think he might be in that spot where we all know how rigid Sarri is, and I mean we saw how Cancelleri struggled in his first year with Sarri when he was trying to be Vice Immobile, like play up top. Like I don't know what is Noslin's best position.
Nobody
And
knows.
if you don't know and I don't know and Sarri doesn't know, it might be something where he might be the number three on the right, the number three on the left, the number three at number nine, and if that's the case, and he's just a joker, he's not really going to get a lot of opportunities with Sarri.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, I think my claim is you're not. He is the number three. I mean, right? Like he is the number three because essentially in two positions, Pedro is currently the number two. He's either the number, might be in three positions, right? If you think about it, across the front three, Pedro's likely that number two for now. When Isaacson comes, it's likely Isaacson and then some sort of a decision between Cancellieri and Pedro, or where depending on where he decides to throw Pedro in. So very likely that you're right. Noslin is the number three. But if you can't get in against Verona up 3, up 4, even just to kind of boost a little bit of confidence, like Hisai doesn't need confidence. He's a veteran. He understands his role. Man, I really have to question when is he going to play unless there is a series of catastrophic injuries. He's not a player that really stood out last season, but he had some moments where we thought he could be a player. So really interesting early in the season just to kind of at least get a sense of what Sadi thinks of him, which is clearly not high enough to break into a match like this. But a couple days of a break. Here we are with international break already. A couple of our boys called up for the Azzurri. Rovella and Zaccagni did make the squad list. I would hope and imagine under Gattuso, it's likely to be a 4-3-3. It looks to be the case with some of the call-ups that we do see Rovella and Zaccagni getting some significant playing time in two crucial matches. So let's hope for that. But let's hope that they come out of international break healthy and some level of fresh because we've got matches, and our next two see us at Sassuolo and then back at Stadio Olimpico Sunday, September 21st with a derby. And here we are already. Big derby should obviously, I mean, I don't have to say it's obviously interesting. It doesn't matter where we are at the table. It doesn't matter what point of the year. So for us, making sure that we have everybody healthy and ready for that will be key. So here we are after 2 matched weeks. Lazio find themselves 7th in the table, 3 points. Inter having dropped today against Udinese. So currently level with Inter. And here we are. It's kind of already a wild Serie A season. So, Stevie, appreciate you joining us. Excited to have you on. Those photos and videos were fantastic. We'll try and get those and share those out, because if you are a Laziale in the United States of America, you got to make your way to Lazio Club NYC. It's the largest. It's the biggest Lazio group in the United States. So the closest that you'll get to a curva atmosphere here. I did have. I'm starting to meet some more Laziali here in Las Vegas. Had one out at our Las Vegas Lights match yesterday. But yeah, people are always coming into town asking me where they can watch the matches, and unfortunately, we don't have enough of a Lazio community to host a club here any longer. But we're here live after every match. Follow us on YouTube. We host all of our audio versions of the podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you name it, across all of our social platforms. Give us a follow. But 4-0 against Verona, high of highs, whether it's the lowest of lows, sempre